I'm at the bad guy for not telling my mom how much weight I gained. I was in the car with my mother and her partner. I was driving them to our Mother's Day plans when we started talking about what I will wear to an upcoming event. I'll tell her about a new dress because none of my dresses that I will normally wear fit me, as I recently gained a little weight. After our Mother's Day lunch, I was driving her and her partner back to her house when she asked me, "How much weight have you gained?" I very politely and calmly responded, "That's none of your business." She became very upset, so I clarified, "It's nobody's business." She said I was acting like a child. Specifically, my 12 years old niece who is prone to the temper tantrums and tell her mom she's embarrassing and sometimes gets super moody, as a lot of tweens can be. My mom told me I was acting like that. I explained that I don't have to tell anyone how much weight I gained, and that it's not a nice question for her to ask. She kept arguing with me, and I said I personally will never ask anyone else that. Mom then made this hand gesture as if to wave me off, shush me or dismiss me, and also with sarcastic tone said, "It's okay, it's okay." I said, "You don't seem okay." And she was completely silent for the rest of the ride home. She's not a quiet person. She only does then what she's upset or she has been called out and does not want to apologize. For context, I have not gained an extreme amount of weight. It's just to know that some of my clothes are tight to me. I'm still well within the normal range of my age, and hey, I go to the gym and watch what I eat, so it's not like my health is in danger. For more context, mom has a long history of negative comments about other people's looks, appearances, including mine. She's very critical of other weight, hair, skin, clothes, and etc. all the time. She says I owe her an apology and I was disrespectful. So I'm at the bad guy for not giving her an answer. I'm at the bad guy for telling my parents that I'm not going to move the loan unless I'm paid. Hello, I'm female, 20. I live with my parents when I'm not off at college. I'm home for the summer, and my parents told me they expect me to help out around the house. Empty the dishwasher a few times a week, split cleaning the upstairs bathroom to my sister since we share it, and vacuum on occasion. Those were all fair, and I accepted. But then my dad told me he expressed me to mow the lawn once a week for the 3 months I'm home. Normally, I'll be fine with this, but I asked some questions and found out a few things, namely that I wouldn't be paid for moving on a weekly basis. It's important to know that my sister mows during the rest of the year and they pay her to do it. Their argument is that since I don't live at home and don't have much else to do around the house, I can be helpful by doing them this favor. Normally, I wouldn't argue, since debating with them is like debating with a brick wall, but I was irritated in this case, so I asked that they pay me for several reasons. First, I'm very allergic to grass. Itchy, red eyes, stuffed nose. I even break out into full body hives from contact with the stuff. It's so bad. I have to wear long sleeves, pants, and a medical mask unless I want to be covered in hives and itchy as hell for the next few days. My dad has much more mild allergies, stuffy nose, itchy eyes, but no hives. And my mom and sister both have no allergies at all. Second, all of us are working full time, so my sister is a lifeguard. I'm working at the UMCA with the kids and campers. My dad has an office job, and my mom's a nurse, technically part time, and also in grad school. So it's not like I'm sitting at home in my room all day with nothing to do. So, third, our lawns is by no means small. It's not huge, but it does take a good hour to move, and there is no shade. And like I said earlier, I have to cover up unless I want to be in a house. And finally, my sister gets paid to do it during the school year, and they had paid her to do it in summer. So I shall be paid too. Their response was that this is how the real world works and sometimes life isn't fair. And that since I'm living under their roof, I need to suck it up, say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, and do what they tell me to do. At this point, I was past annoyance and into anger, and I sometimes get emotional when I'm mad. So I stood up, told them I'm not moving unless they pay me for it, and locked myself in my room. My mom got angry, said we will continue this later, and texted me with a mini lecture about how she raised me better. My sister said I was right to demand payment, but my parents are still upset and now I'm conflicted. And yes, to clarify, I don't pay rent, but I do buy breakfast and snack foods for myself. I don't eat lunch or much during the day at all, and dining is a family event. We all have our own food in the house. My parents get upset when I eat their snack food, so I buy my own. Also, I have been paying for my gas, toiletries, hygiene products, and all of my medical stuff. This includes prescriptions like blood work, because that is a thing that I've been having a lot this year, and everything over the counter, like pain meds, migraine meds, hydrocortisone, first aid, and the other things since I turned like 18 2 years ago. They will help pay for big stuff like hospitalization or an MRI, but even then I still pay half. So am I the bad guy here? Am I the bad guy for not going through with the proposal? Okay, so this might be hard to explain, but I will do myself. My girlfriend and I have been together almost a year, and we're a long distance for another year. A friend of mine asked me to fly from San Diego to Colorado to help her move to Texas with a moving one, as she can drive, and I agreed on the condition that she'd let me fly back later so I could go see my girlfriend in Louisiana. I even planned to propose while I'm out there. My friend loved the idea, so this was planned 4 months in advance. I'm leaving on the 18th of May to do this and will see my girlfriend on the last 21st. About a week ago, she told me her little sister will now be staying with them on both the weekends and I will be there, so a little inconvenient, but I'm excited to meet her sister, so I was happy for that. And all it sounded good. Then a day later, she tells me some stranger messaged her about a babysitting job and she took it. So now every weekday I'm there, she will have 2 babies that she will be watching for 8 hours or more, and on the weekend, her little sister will be there. She also doesn't know a plan to ask her marry me, but I did say this was supposed to be a very special trip for us. It feels like the trip is kind of ruined. I even decided to hold back on proposing because it just doesn't feel right now. My friends are saying I'm the bad guy for not going through with the proposal, but it just doesn't feel right now. She obviously doesn't have to run every decision she makes by me, so she can take any job she wants to usually, but this one specifically affects the trip we've been planning for months. For a little more context, the woman she's babysitting for was put in and thought spot and did need a sitter quickly, and I get that, but at the same time, we had plans. I don't know, part of me feels justified for being upset, but part of me feels like I'm being a big baby. So, also, someone in the comments brought something up that I didn't really think about that might change some people's view of this. She can't have children due to PCOS and other complications. So I think that was one of the reasons she jumped at this. Admittedly, I didn't think about that at first, but it's just making me feel more guilty for more I think about it. So, am I the bad guy? Am I the bad guy for telling a friend she might not have kids? Hello, female, 33. I have 2 children, 4 male and 1 female. My husband and I decided early on that I'll be a stay-at-home mom, since I never had the drive to work full-time, and I enjoy being a full-time mother. Most of my friends and family have supported this decision. One of my best friends, Zoe, have been mostly supportive, although she doesn't really agree with it. She's a professor at the university but only goes to campus once a week. She spent a long time building up her career and is very good at her job. I think she's a fantastic teacher. Zoe and Quentin are very good friends of ours. If anything happens to my husband and I, we want Zoe and Quentin to take care of our children. Zoe and Quentin have been trying for several years to get pregnant, but haven't succeeded yet. They've turned to medical assistants for help and are in the preliminary process. But Zoe have been sad about how long it's taking. She doesn't intend on giving up her career after having kids, but will work from home until her kids are old enough for preschool, although they have family nearby who will also help. I tried to be supportive on her during this process. We were spending time together last week, and she was telling me about how hard it's been to stay positive during this process. And I gently observed that maybe this was the universe's way of telling her that she might never be a biological mother, but is a fantastic mother figure to her students. She grew incredibly upset at this comment and said that medicine had advanced enough for her to still have a chance, to which I responded that nothing was guaranteed. She accused me of being smug and considering about having children while she doesn't yet, which floored me. I was simply trying to prepare her for the worst in case it turns out that way. Zoe called me the bad guy, laughed angrily, and since then, Quentin sent me one very angry text to say that I should apologize. But that's it. We haven't heard from them since then. Tom says I was just being honest, and I'm not the bad guy, and to give them time, but I'm not sure. I've never seen Zoe so angry, although I don't regret what I said. So am I the bad guy for what I said, or should I apologize? Am I the bad guy for letting my toddler use chopsticks improperly? So we went to this awesome revolving sushi place for Mother's Day, and I'm wondering if we did something wrong. As we made our way to the table, the waitress asked if we would like a fork for our little one. Mostly because we don't like to ask for things, my fiancé and I both just impulsively said no. So, what about food? Everything was delicious for Mom? Thought I didn't eat anything because I'm not a huge sushi guy. Our daughter was in heaven. Thought because they will serve these little bowls of watermelon. Thought I'll never done this before. I decided I will screw each cube of melon with one of the chopsticks. She loved the game of this even more, and it helped slow down her eating so we wouldn't have to rush out when she's eating too much fruit. But this weird stuff kept coming over and looking at the three of us like we did something wrong. One came by and just said, "Question?" And another came by saying we ought to get our kids some child chopsticks, with a smile. Thought our daughter has never had experience using them. We didn't refuse the child's chopsticks, but they also didn't bring any. And the question lady from earlier kept circling back and not really saying anything, just staring at the three of us. To be clear, we have eaten here before, and you essentially just serve yourself with the conveyor belt of food and touchpad menu. We have never been visited by the wait staff so frequently, and we just left feeling like we did something wrong. I also wonder whether the fact that I didn't eat anything was the source of the frustration rather than my kids' chopsticks use. So, am I the bad guy here? Am I the bad guy for picking a fight on Mother's Day? My husband and I have been married 4 years, together 7. We have an 8-month-old son. We both work full-time, so my husband is ID military and currently works 12 hours night shifts. And days he works, he leaves for work at 4:30 p.m. and gets home around 6 a.m. Baby and I leave the house at about 6:20. He goes to daycare and I go to work, and we get home sometime after 5 p.m. On days my husband doesn't work, he still sleeps during the day to maintain his sleep schedule. We've been doing this for 2 months and have a month to go until he goes back to days. I think we're both getting worth really thin by this insanity. Plus, the baby has been getting sick a lot from daycare, which is really stressful. I've also had to miss a lot of work since my husband can take time off. We have no family or close friends nearby, so taking care of the baby is all on me. My husband normally sucks at holidays. He didn't get me anything for Christmas, and I got him nothing this year because I'm sick of being the only person who makes an effort. So I got excited this year when he asked me what I wanted for the Mother's Day. I picked something out, and I know he ordered it because I was the one who grabbed it from the mailbox when it arrived. Sunday morning comes, he gets home from work. I get up early with the baby. He says, "Happy Mother's Day." Then he goes to bed. I have a nice day with the baby. Although he has a cold, so he was cranky. So my husband gets up at 2:30 p.m. and he comes downstairs to hang out with us. But he is in a shitty mood and gets annoyed when the baby whines. He tells me the baby has a low-grade fever and asks me what I'm doing about it. I snap back that I'm well aware the baby is sick. I've been dealing with him all day. My husband shuts down and stops talking to me. Once he gets his lunch packed, he goes to the couch and starts looking at the phone, ignoring me and the baby. At this point, my disappointment, loneliness, and overwhelmedness boiled over, and I said, "Is this really all I deserve for the Mother's Day? I know you got me something. Aren't you even going to give it to me?" He says, "Do you really want it now?" Grabs the gifts from where it was hiding in the kitchen cabinet and throw it on the counter. I tell him I don't want it, if that's how it's going to be given to me. He left for work early. I put the gift back in the cabinet with this stinky note reading, "Please try again." I didn't hear from him all night, and he was really distant when our path crossing this morning. I know he's stressed and sleep deprived, so I'm thinking maybe I just should have left it and let him give me the gift at a different time. But also, it's not like he communicated to me that we will be doing something at a different time. So, am I the bad guy here? Am I the bad guy for inviting only one of my two moms to meet my girlfriend's parents? I'm 18, just currently turned 18, and my girlfriend is still 17. We've been dating for about 5 months. She comes from an Iranian family but was born here. She uses a cloth over her head, but it's not very religious, and we got along very well as friends before we started dating. Though I haven't told her that I have two moms, my bio mom and her wife who I can call by her name, and she's okay with it. Right after my 18th birthday, she invited me to meet her parents. Well, we had actually been planning it for a while, but I was trying to find a date where my stepmom will be busy working all day, so I could just bring my bio mom. This is because I don't know how accepting my girlfriend's parents will be, but I know they're Muslim, and Muslims usually don't like gay people, and I don't want to start a fight over this at their home. We finally managed to do it on the perfect day for me and my mom. Went and we had dinner. My girlfriend's parents were very happy to meet me and my mom. My mom was also happy to meet them and my girlfriend. Everything was going fine until her parents asked about my dad or if my mom was single. She said, "Oh, dad's not in the picture, so I have a wife." They just said okay and asked where she was. Then after some more questions, they said it could be arranged on a day when both could come in. And then they all looked at me as if they realized I was the one who had arranged to do it on that particular day. They asked why I did it, and I was honest and said that because they are Muslim, I didn't think it was safe to bring both my mothers. They said they were very disappointed, and then said, "Just because we're Muslims doesn't mean we're bigots." The dinner ended, and they politely asked us to leave. My two mothers are now heartbroken and disappointed, and my girlfriend called me a racist for assuming such a thing just because of where they came from. But I just wanted to protect my moms and have a drama-free dinner. I don't see how any of this is racist. I think I was making a safe general assumption, right? I don't see what I did wrong here. But I better ask here for a better unbiased judgment. So Amanda Becca, I'm at the Becca for choosing a name my mom doesn't like. I came out as trans to my mom last year. She has a hard time accepting it, but really, she's more supportive than I expected, and I appreciate that a lot. She agreed not to call me daughter and other gender words, but still uses female grammatical gender. Come on, it's my native language, so it's okay. I know things like that take time. The real problem is the name, though. My mom came up with a gender neutral nickname for me when I came out, which was very sweet of her. However, when I mentioned that I used another name in my day to day life, she got really upset and said she wouldn't use it. It also upsets her when I mention something reminds her that I use another name with my friends. It's like she sees it as a personal attack on her idea. The nickname is a gender neutral variation of my birth name, and the chosen name, while sounding a bit similar, has a different root. For example, let's say my dad's name was Jessica, not real. Then my mom will call me Jess, and I'll choose the name James. There isn't much difference, but to me, it really matters. Another thing to take into account is that, as mentioned earlier, my native language is not English, and the nickname in question is very uncommon in our culture. I'm currently living in an English speaking country, but I want my name to reflect my culture. I try not to pressure her, but it's been more than a half a year since I came out, and I don't like having two names like that, especially when one of them is so close to my dead name. Sometimes I ask myself, can I just accept this nickname and not upset anybody? It's not that different from the name I chose after all. It's not something I'll put in my documents, but maybe I could get used to it. I know the whole thing is hard for my mom to accept, and the fact that she came up with a nickname means a lot of me. So, will I be the bad guy if I ask my mom to use my chosen name after all?